Hello team, this is a quick update for spoken duration, the challenge where we got time in seconds and we needed to convert it to a string, to a spoken format, right? In that challenge, we went through a few different things here, and I have reset it to our original standard solution, okay? So I've commented out all the intl and the temporal and stuff. In fact, we can get rid of all this good stuff just like this. We don't need that anymore. And we're just left with this and it works. Okay. And somebody made the comment, why not this, right? And why not this? Now it's all gray because this return is still in here, but this absolutely works. So why not, right? Well, if you look at it, we have this parts equals 2. That's joining on and. We have the and here. So we could comment that out. And then we're left with 3 lines, right? If we comment out 0 seconds for a second, we're going to come back to that. And that's really the whole point of this video. So stay with me. Okay. Then we're left with parts equals 1, return 0. Otherwise, return all this. And that's exactly the same as this. Parts length equals 1, then return 0. Otherwise, return this. They use concatenation instead of template literals. It's all the same, right? And it's beautiful, right? It's nice that we can come to different solutions that work exactly the same. And I love that. The thing that they pointed out that caught my attention, though, was this first line, right? Because nowhere in our code and nowhere in this challenge does it account for 0 seconds. What happens if you pass in 0 seconds? What happens if you pass in negative numbers? What happens if you pass in a string or null or undefined or something like that? What happens for these edge cases, right? And they have done that. They've gone through and added this test case here, and it still works because we don't have any tests for it, but I missed it and I want to cover it in this video. So here's what I would do, okay? This feels like the wrong place to do this. And that's not because it's bad code, right? It's absolutely great code, but we do all of our formatting up here in format to parts. So why wouldn't we continue to do all that formatting up in format to parts? And that's what I would prefer to do with this. So commenting this out, I'm going to steal 0 seconds just to save myself some time. And then down here we go, if there are no seconds, then return an array with 0 seconds. Okay, so if seconds is 0, 0 being a falsy value, then we'll return 0. If it's undefined, we're going to return 0. If it's null, we're going to return 0. Okay, so for any falsy value, we will return 0. Now, that doesn't do anything today, but stay with me for a second, okay, because there are a few other bits. What happens if they do send hot garbage into this, like a string or something that is not an integer, right? Because we're dealing with seconds, we should be dealing with integers, which means that we should probably check that, right? So if not number dot is integer, and we send in seconds to test it, okay? So if that's the way that it is, then we're going to reset seconds equal to 0, okay? At this point, again, it doesn't do anything. I will show you how this works in a second, but we are resetting everything to 0 if they send in something that is not an integer. I don't know if that's the right solution. Maybe we should throw an error, but for today, it kind of gets the job done. And then because 0 is falsy, it returns this one. Great. The other thing that we could do that I didn't do is we're only dealing in positive values. What if we wanted to do negative values, right? Well, that would be anything that is not equal to number, okay? Or not equal to 0. And at this point, it still all works. So by changing a few things in here, right, by adding this default return for 0 seconds inside of an array so that we still have a part, right, then we return that, problem solved. If it's not an integer, we force it to be a 0, right? Could we set this as a default of 0? Yeah, we could. I mean, absolutely, right? But this also gets the job done. So we do that, and then down here, we account for a system where it allows negative numbers. Is that a good plan? I don't know, right? You'll have to let me know in the comments. But doing all of that, We could stay with this, right? So we now have two solutions where we either do this if return and a default return, or we do the ternary like we had before. We could do either of those, and it all still works. And to prove that, right over here, I have that exact code. So here's our updates: the is integer, the 0 seconds, along with that not equals, and I have a bunch of console logs, right? For 0, for undefined, for empty, for null, for a string, for a proper value, for negative values. And if we run all this, we get exactly what we would expect. We get a whole lot of 0 seconds for those first 4, because they should be 0. And then we get a proper value. This was one of our tests, right? -1 seconds, -4 hours, -15 seconds. Again, I don't know if that's how you would do it for negative numbers, but it's very interesting, okay? So again, a quick update just to mention that they found a situation that I didn't, and I wanted to address that here. Again, I do prefer it being up in format parts because that's where we are formatting things, right? So being down here, it feels a little bit forced, right? But beyond that, these two things, in terms of the comment itself, they're exactly the same thing, which is really, really nice. And then taking into account the fact that I missed 0 seconds and doing a little bit of work around that makes me happy, right? It's a good way to start the day. It's still early for me. So there it is. What do you think, right? Do you prefer it down here inside of the main function, or do you prefer it up here? You need to let me know, right? And you need to let me know, is this the right way to do negatives, right? Is this the right way to handle things that aren't integers? I don't know. Let me know all that stuff in the comments. Otherwise, for today, this is being a bonus to spoken duration, and I will see you in the next one.